Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtike. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 47, The Song of the Bee, text number 49 onwards. So gopis are further speaking with Uddhavji. Sarichel Vanodesha Gavo Venu Ravaini Sankarshan Sahayena Krishnena Charita Prabhu. Dear Uddhav Prabhu, when Krishna was here in the company of Sankarshan, he enjoyed all these rivers, hills, forests, cows, and flute songs. Puna Puna Smarayanti Nanda Gopasutam Bata Shri Niketas Tat Padkar Vismartum Neva Shaknama. All these remind us constantly of Nanda's son. Indeed, because we see Krishna's footprints, which are marked with divine symbols, we can never forget him. Gatya Lalita Yodhara Rasalila Valokana Madhvaya Gira Haritya Katham Tam Vismaramahe. Oh Uddhav, how can we forget him when our hearts have been stolen away by the charming way he walks, his generous smile and playful glances, and his honey-like words? He Nath, He Ramanatha, Vrajanatha, Tinashana, Magnam Uddhar Govinda, Gokulam Rijinarnava. O Master of the goddess of fortune, O Master of Raja, O Destroyer of all suffering, Govinda, please lift your Gokul out of the ocean of distress in which it is drowning. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur presents the following insight into this scene. Someone might propose to the gopis, why don't you just go somewhere else, leave Vrindavan, and then you won't have to see these rivers, mountains, and forests. Cover your eyes with the garments, use your intelligence to lead your minds to some other thought, and thus forget Krishna. The gopis answered this suggestion in the previous verse by stating, we no longer possess our intelligence, for Krishna has taken it away by his supreme beauty and charm. Now in the present verse, the feelings of the gopis become so strong they address Uddhav and turning toward Mathura, address Krishna himself with humble cries. They address Krishna as Vrajanath because in the past, young Krishna performed many inconceivable pastimes to protect his beloved village people, such as lifting Govardhan Hill and destroying many monstrous demons. In this heart-rending verse, the gopis cry out to Krishna to remember the wonderful, sweet relationship they once enjoyed together as innocent village people. Indeed, Shri Krishna would lovingly take care of his father's cows, and the gopis appealed to him to remember these duties and return so he could resume them. So they are saying, please come back and save this Gokul from the distress. Shri Shukavacha Tatastha Krishna Sandesha Vyapet Virijwara Uddhavam Pujayam Chakrur Gyatva Atman Adhokshajam Atmanam Adhokshajam. Shukdev Goswami continued. Lord Krishna's messages having relieved their fear of separation, the gopis then worshipped Uddhava, recognizing him as non-different from the Lord Krishna. Srila Sridhar Swami states that the words Gyatvanam, Gyatvamanam Adhokshajam also indicate that the gopis recognize Lord Krishna to be the very soul of their lives and thus spiritually one with them. Vasikati chin masan gopinam vinudan shucha Krishna lila katha gayan ramya mas gokulam. Uddhav remained there for several months, dispelling the gopis' sorrow by chanting the topics of Lord Krishna's pastimes. Thus he brought joy to all the people of Gokula. The great Acharya Jiva Goswami comments in this regard that Uddhava, during his stay in Vrindavan, certainly took special care to enliven Krishna's foster parents, Nanda and Yashoda. So Uddhavji was supposed to stay only for a few days, but Gopis and Nanda Baba Yashoda Maya also, they asked him to stay longer and discuss Krishna Katha with us. And he stayed for months. Yavantihani Nandasya Vraje Abatsit Uddhava Brajokasam Kshana Kayanya Asan Krishnasya Vartaya. All the days that Uddhava dwelled in Nanda's cowherd village seemed like a single moment to the residents of Braj. For Uddhava was always discussing Krishna. So this is how they were eager to hear about Krishna, and Uddhavji was eager to speak about Krishna, that the whole time it just seemed like a single moment. Saridvan Giri Dronir Vikshan Kusumitan Druman Krishnam Sansmarayan Reme Haridaso Vrajokasam. The servant of Lord Hari, seeing the rivers, forests, mountains, valleys, and flowering trees of Braja, enjoyed inspiring the inhabitants of Vrindavan by reminding them of Lord Krishna. Srila Sridhar Swami points out that as Uddhava wandered about Vrindavan, he reminded Braja's residents of Krishna by asking them questions about the pastimes the Lord had performed in each of these places, namely the rivers, forests, mountains, and valleys. Thus, Uddhava himself enjoyed great transcendental bliss in their association. So this should be our mood when we go to Vrindavan. Every place we go, there's so many pastimes has happened. So we can as a Brajvasis, or we can read. So many books are there of Acharyas. They describe in detail what pastime happened where. Like the backdrop I chose today. This is the place called Gyan Gududi. It's in Vrindavan. And this is a place where gopis gave the knowledge to Uddhavji. Uddhav Kyari near Nandagaon is where gopis listen to Uddhav, the message of Krishna. But this is the place in Vrindavan because they didn't want to give the knowledge to Uddhav in Nandagaon. They brought him to Vrindavan, and this place is near Yamuna. And this is where they gave the knowledge to Uddhavji. Drishtvavam adi gopinam Krishna veshatma viklavam dhva param pritas ta namasyan idam jagav. Thus, seeing how the gopis were always disturbed because of their total absorption in Krishna, Uddhava was supremely pleased. Desiring to offer them all respect, he sang as follows. Viklav, mental disturbance, should not be confused here with ordinary material distress. It is clearly stated that Uddhava was supremely pleased, and he felt this way because he saw that the gopis had attained the highest state of loving ecstasy. Uddhava was an exalted member of the court in Dwarka, an important minister in world political affairs. And yet he felt the spiritual urge to offer his obeisances to the glorious gopis, although externally they were mere cowherd girls in an insignificant village called Vrindavan. Thus, to explain his feelings, he sang the following verses. Srila Jiva Goswami states that Uddhava sang these verses daily while he was in Vrindavan. See, only acharyas, these great acharyas can give insight into all this. Otherwise, it's not mentioned in scripture that he sang these verses daily. But Jiva Goswami, with his realizations, he can see, and he wrote it. Eta param tanu bhrito bhuvi gopavadho govind eva nikhilatmani ruda bhava vanchanti yad bhava bhiyo munya vayam cha kim brahma janma abhir ananta katha rasasya. Wow. Uddhava sang, among all persons on earth, these cowherd women alone have actually perfected their embodied lives. for they have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love for Lord Govinda. The pure love is hankered after by those who fear material existence, by great sages, and by ourselves as well. For one who has tasted the narrations of the infinite Lord, what is the use of taking birth as a high-class Brahman or even as Lord Brahma himself? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that here the term Brahma Janma Bhi, Brahmanical birth, refers to threefold birth by seminal parenthood, sacred thread initiation, and sacrificial initiation. These cannot compare to pure Krishna consciousness or the pure love these gopis have for Krishna. Of course, the process is like that to go with Vedhi, Sadhana, Bhakti, then further up, continue with that. But what gopis have attained, even Uddhavji is saying it's impossible for anybody to attain. Kvema striyavana charira vyabhichara dushtaha krishne kvachash paramatmani ruda bhava nanvishvaro anubhajato abhidusho api sakshat shreyastano ati agadraj ivopayuktaha. How amazing is that these simple women who wander about the forest, seemingly spoiled by improper behavior, have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love for Krishna, the Supreme Soul. Still, it is true that the Supreme Lord himself awards his blessings even to an ignorant worshipper, just as the best medicine works even when taken by a person ignorant of its ingredients. The use of the word qua in the first two lines indicates a sharp contrast between apparently incompatible items, in this case apparently insignificant and even impure position of the gopis mentioned in the first line, and the attainment of the highest perfection of life mentioned in the second. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes three types of adulterous women. Of course, gopis are not adulterous, and it is a seemingly spoiled by improper behaviors. Apparent, it's not true. The first is a woman who enjoys both her husband and his lover, being faithful to neither. Both ordinary society and the scriptures condemn this conduct. The second type of adulterous woman is she who abandons her husband to enjoy only with her lover. Society and scriptures also condemn this behavior, although such a fallen woman may be said to have at least have the good quality of dedicating himself to a single man. The last kind of adulterous woman is she who abandons her husband and enjoys in the attitude of being a lover of the Supreme Lord alone. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that although foolish, common people criticize this position, such behavior is condemned by those who are wise in spiritual science. Such behavior is commended by those who are wise in the spiritual science. Therefore, learned members of society and the revealed scriptures praise such single-minded devotion to the Lord. Such was the gopis' behavior. Thus, the term Vyabhichara Dushta, corrupted by deviation, indicates the apparent resemblance between the gopis' behavior and that of ordinary adulterous women. And that is why, Shukdev Goswami, highly learned, sage, self-realized, completely renounced, he's glorifying gopis. If there was even a slight tinge of any adulterous behavior in their attitude towards Krishna or in their love for Krishna, he wouldn't even have mentioned their names in Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is Amala Puran. There is no defect at all in this Puran. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, when he came and he was performing his pastimes, he was glorifying the gopis, the love of gopis for Krishna. So it's just we have to understand them properly. People just make up stories because they are just completely ignorant fools. They don't know anything about gopis, and especially the topmost gopi, Srimati Radharani. How can we even think of understanding her love for Krishna. Nayam Shriyong U Nitan Tarate Prasada Swaryoshitam Nalina Gandha Rucham Putvanyam Rasotsavayasya Bhajadanda Grihita Kantha Labdha Shisham Yodagada Vrajvallabhina. When Lord Shri Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Ras Leela, the gopis are embraced by the arms of the Lord. This transcendental favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Ji, or other consorts in the spiritual world. Indeed, never was such a thing even imagined by the most beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of a lotus flower. And what to speak of worldly women who are very beautiful according to material estimation. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments as follows. Lord Krishna, the best of all avatars, exists on the highest platform of purity and morality. And thus he always remained praiseworthy by all, even while accepting worldly criticism for his cow tending, wandering in the forest, taking meals with the young monkeys, stealing yogurt, seducing other men's wives, and so on. Similarly, the gopis were constituted of the Lord's pleasure potency, achieved the highest standard of purity and auspiciousness, even in comparison to the goddesses of fortune. And thus the gopis are supremely glorious, even though they were criticized by worldly people because they were mere cowherd women living in the forest and behaving in an apparently improper way. So for worldly people, they're just ignorant cowherd women and behaving in apparently improper way, but that's not true. That's not at all true. Asamaho charana renu jusham aham syam vrindavane kim api kulmalashtoshadhinam yadustyajam swajana mare patham chahirpa bhejur mukund padavim shruti bhir vimrigyatam. So thus comes out the heartfelt desire of Uddhavji. The gopis of Vrindavan have given up the association of their husbands, sons, and other family members who are very difficult to give up, and they have forsaken the path of chastity to take shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, Krishna, which one should search for by Vedic knowledge. Oh, let me be fortunate enough to become one of the bushes, creepers, or herbs in Vrindavan. See, this is his desire, because the gopis trample them and bless them with the dust of the lotus feet. So Uddhavji, of course, it's his desire, such a pure person, Krishna did grant him this wish. Shri Uddhav here shows a perfect Vaishnava attitude of humility. He does not pray to be equal to the gopis in the exalted stage of love, but rather to take birth as a bush or creeper in Vrindavan, so that when they, means gopis, walk upon him, he will get the dust of their feet and thus be blessed. The shy gopis would never agree to give such blessings to a great personality like Uddhav. Therefore, he cleverly sought to get such mercy by taking birth as a plant in Vrindavan. See, this is Uddhavji's devotion. Now he understood who are these gopis. And similarly, if we look at Shivji, he desired to become that hill on which Krishna and Balram and Nanda Bhavan would be, and so that when the devotees come, he would get the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees when they would come to play with Krishna Balram or Krishna Sakha, or devotees when they come to take darshan of Krishna Balram. Brahmaji, he prayed to Radharani, please give me a place at your lotus feet. And he became the hills of Barsana. Brahmaji is a founder Acharya, is the first created being of the universe. And he took that position. And when we go to take darshan of Radharani, we all walk on the heads of Brahmaji. This is their mood. They don't want to take the position of gopis. They want to take the position of servant of the servant of the servant. Then this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught us. This is the right mood of a devotee. Yahweh Shri Architam Jadi Bhirapta Kame Yogeshware Rapi Yadatmani Rasa Goshthyam Krishnasya Tad Bhagavata Charana Ravindam Nyastam Staneshu Vijahu Parirabhya Tapam. The goddess of fortune herself, along with Lord Brahma and all other demigods, were masters of yogic perfection, can worship the lotus feet of Krishna only within their mind. But during the Rasa dance, Lord Krishna placed his feet upon these gopis' breasts, and by embracing those feet, the gopis gave up all distress. Vande Nanda Vraja Strinam Padarenum Abhikshanasha Yasam Harikathodgitam Punati Bhuvanatrayam. I repeatedly offer my respects to the dust from the feet of the women of Nanda Maharaja's cowherd village. When these gopis loudly chant the glories of Shri Krishna, the vibration purifies the three worlds. Shri Uddhav, having established the glories of the gopis in the previous verse, now directly offers his obeisances to them. According to Shri Vaishnav Toshani, Shri Uddhav did not offer such respect even to Lord Krishna's queens in Dwarka that he is offering here to the gopis. Shri Shukavacha Ath Gopir Anugyapya Yashodam Nandamevacha Gopana Mantraya Dasharpo Yasya Naruruhe Ratam. Shukdev Goswami said, Uddhav, the descendant of Dasharha, then took permission to leave from the gopis and from Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. He bade farewell to all the cowherd men and about to depart, mounted his chariot. Tam nirgatam samasadya nano payana padaya nandadeo anuragena pravochanna shrulochana. As Uddhav was about to leave, Nanda and the others approached him, bearing various items of worship. With tears in their eyes, they addressed him as follows. Srila Jiva Goswami points out that Nanda and the cowherd men did not approach Uddhav as a formality, but rather out of spontaneous affection for a dear friend of Krishna's. Manso vrittayo nasyu Krishna padambujashreya vacho bidhainir namnam kayastat prahladishu. Nanda and the other cowherds said, may our mental functions always take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. May our words always chant his names, and may our bodies always bow down to him and serve him. The residents of Vrindavan were firmly convinced that even though they could not have direct association with the beloved Krishna, they would never be indifferent to him. They were all topmost pure devotees of the Lord. Karma bhir brahmya mananam yatra kvapi ishvarechaya mangala charita ardane ratirna Krishna ishvare. Wherever we are made to wander about this world by the Supreme Lord's will, in accordance with the reactions to our fruitive work, may our good works and charity always grant us love for Krishna. Evam sabha jito gope Krishna bhaktya naradipa uddhava punaragachan matharam Krishna palitam. Shukdev Goswami continued. O ruler of men, Parikshit Maharaj, thus honored by the cowherd men with expressions of devotion for Lord Krishna, Uddhav went back to the city of Mathura, which was under Krishna's protection. The word Krishna Palitam indicates that even though Uddhav became quite attached to the land of Vrindavan, he returned to Mathura because Shri Krishna was personally displaying his transcendental pastimes there. Krishnaya Pranipatyaha Bhakti Udrekam Rajokasam Vasudevaya Ramaya Ragya Chopaya and Nanyadat. After falling down to pay his homage, Uddhav described to Lord Krishna the immense devotion of the residents of Braja. Uddhav also described it to Vasudev, Lord Balram and King Ugrasen, and presented to them the gifts of tribute he had brought with him. So he came back to Mathura, he met everybody, and he is paying obeisances. So thus ends the purport to 10th canto, 47th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Song of the Bee. So tomorrow we'll start the next chapter. See, anybody has any questions or comments?
Prabhuji,
Yes, Manta?
what is the photograph behind you?
That is a place where gopis gave the message to Uddhavji,
I see.
how
I
they're
see.
feeling about Krishna.
Okay. It is still there?
Oh yeah, it's in Vrindavan.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so I guess we can stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.